There's a teaching that runs deeper than any religion. It lives beneath the surface of our daily lives, hidden in the way we move through the world, in the choices we make when no one is watching, and in the silence we either embrace or run. From Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, spoke of it often. He said that every soul comes to earth with a mission. Not a loud one, not one written in stone or handed down by kings, but a quiet mission, a mission to grow, to awaken, to become more than what it was before. But here's the hard truth. Not every soul completes that mission. Some souls come here, live an entire lifetime, and leave exactly as they arrived, unchanged, unawakened, stuck in the same patterns, the same fears, the same refusal to see what is right in front of them. Cayce called this a wasted incarnation. And he said there are clear signs when it is happening. Signs that show up not in what you say, but in how you live, in what you avoid, in what you fill your time with, in the way you treat your own inner world. This is not about being a bad person. You can be kind and still waste your incarnation. You can be loved and still miss the entire point of why you are here. Because the mission of the soul is not about being liked. It is not about being comfortable. It is about transformation. And transformation requires something most people will not give. It requires you to stop running, to stop pretending, to stop filling every quiet moment with noise, so you do not have to face what is waiting inside you. Cayce said that the soul chooses its life before it arrives. It chooses the body, the family, the struggles, and even the pain. Not as punishment, but as tools. Tools for breaking open the shell of the ego. Tools for softening the heart. Tools for remembering what the soul already knows, but the human mind has forgotten. And when you refuse to use those tools, when you push them away or numb yourself to them, you are not just avoiding discomfort. You are avoiding your purpose. The first sign that you may be wasting this incarnation is that you avoid looking inward. You keep yourself busy. You fill your days with tasks, your nights with screens, your mind with other people's voices. You scroll, you binge, you plan, you worry, you work. But you do not sit still. You do not ask yourself the hard questions. You do not look at your patterns and ask why they keep repeating. You do not wonder why the same pain keeps showing up. In different faces, different jobs, different relationships. This avoidance is not laziness. It is fear. Fear of what you might find if you actually stopped and looked. Fear that you are not who you pretend to be. Fear that you have been living on autopilot. Fear that you have wasted years, and so you keep moving. You keep your mind full and your heart closed. You tell yourself you are too busy for reflection, too tired for meditation, too practical for spiritual work. But the truth is, you are too afraid. Cayce said that the soul speaks in whispers. It does not shout. It does not force. It waits. It sends you the same lesson over and over, wrapped in different paper, until you finally stop and open it. But if you spend your whole life refusing to open it, if you spend your whole life too distracted to even notice it has arrived, then what was the point? What did you come here to learn? What did you come here to heal? And if you leave without learning it, without healing it, you will come back. The soul does not give up. But it also does not wait forever in one body. The second sign is that you are addicted to distraction. And this is not just about phones or television. This is about anything you use to avoid being alone with yourself. Some people use work, some use relationships. Some use food, shopping, gossip, drama, or even helping others. Anything that keeps the mind occupied. Anything that keeps you from feeling the emptiness, the loneliness, the confusion, or the grief that lives underneath. Cayce taught that silence is where the soul speaks. Not the silence of an empty room, but the silence of a quiet mind. A mind that is not racing, not planning, not replaying, not defending. A mind that is simply present. And in that presence, something shifts. You begin to hear things you have been ignoring. You begin to feel things you have been avoiding. You begin to see things you have been denying. And that is terrifying for most people, so they fill the silence. They turn on the noise. They reach for the phone. They call a friend. They plan the next thing. Anything to avoid that moment of stillness. But that moment is not empty. It is full. Full of truth. Full of guidance. Full of the voice of your own soul trying to reach you. And when you refuse to listen, when you drown it out again and again, you are not protecting yourself. You are abandoning yourself. You are choosing distraction over direction. You are choosing comfort over growth. And the soul does not grow in comfort. It grows in the space between what you want and what you need. It grows in the pause. It grows in the silence you keep running from. The third sign is that you refuse to take responsibility for your life. You blame others. You blame your past. You blame your parents, your partner, your boss, your body, your luck. You tell yourself that if things were different, you would be different. If people had treated you better, you would be healed. If life had been easier, you would be awake. But Cayce said that is not how it works. He said the soul does not come here to have an easy life. It comes here to have a useful one. And usefulness is built in the fire of responsibility. When you blame others, you give away your power. You make yourself a victim of your circumstances. And victims do not grow. Victims do not heal. Victims do not awaken. They stay stuck in the story of what was done to them. They replay it. They defend it. They use it to explain why they are the way they are. And in doing so, they waste the very pain that could have transformed them. Because pain is not the problem. Refusal to learn from it is. Cayce said that every hardship is a lesson. Every betrayal, every loss, every moment of suffering is the soul trying to teach you something. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. To soften you, to open you. To show you where you are still holding on, still resisting, still refusing to forgive. And if you spend your whole life blaming others for your pain, you miss the entire point. You miss the growth. You miss the healing. You miss the reason you came here. The fourth sign is that you live in fear of change. You cling to what is familiar, even when it hurts, even when it no longer serves you. Even when you know deep down that staying where you are is slowly killing your spirit. You stay in the job that drains you. You stay in the relationship that diminishes you. You stay in the town, the routine, the version of yourself that you have outgrown. Because change is terrifying. Change means uncertainty. Change means letting go of control. And most people would rather suffer uncertainty than grow in the unknown. But Cayce said the soul does not come here for safety. It comes here for expansion. And expansion requires letting go. Letting go of old identities. Letting go of old beliefs. Letting go of the people and places that no longer match who you are becoming. This does not mean being reckless. It does not mean abandoning responsibility. It means being honest. Honest about what is real and what is just habit. Honest about what is love and what is fear. Honest about whether you are living or just surviving. Fear of change is fear of the self. It is fear that if you let go of what you know, you will discover. You are not who you thought you were, and that is true. You are not, you are more. But you will never know that if you do not take this step. You will never know the strength that lives inside you if you do not face the uncertainty. You will never know the peace that comes from trusting yourself if you do not release the need to control everything. Cayce spoke often of trust. Not blind faith in some external force, but trust in the process of life. Trust that the soul knows what it is doing. Trust that the challenges you face are not accidents. They are appointments. Appointments with your own growth. And when you resist them, when you refuse to show up for them, you are not protecting yourself. You are betraying. yourself. You are choosing the comfort of the cage over the freedom of the unknown. And here is what happens when you live like that. When you spend your whole life avoiding change, avoiding discomfort, avoiding the very things your soul came here to experience. You reach the end, and you feel it. You feel the emptiness, the regret, the quiet knowing that you did not live fully, that you did not become who you could have been, that you played it safe and missed the entire point. And by then, it is too late. Not too late for the soul. The soul will try again, but too late for this body. This life, this chance. The fifth and final sign is that you do not listen to the voice inside you. You ignore your intuition. You dismiss your inner knowing. You rationalize it away. You let other people talk you out of it. You let fear drown it out. You tell yourself it is just your imagination, just anxiety, just wishful thinking. But it is not. It is your soul, and it is trying to guide you. Every single day, in every moment of hesitation, in every feeling of wrongness, in every pull toward something you cannot explain. That is not random. That is direction, Cayce said. That every person has access to the infinite. Not through books or teachers or rituals, though those can help, but through the quiet inner voice that knows. The voice that warns you before something goes wrong. The voice that nudges you toward the person you are meant to meet. The voice that whispers, not yet, or yes now, or this is not your path. That voice is not separate from you. It is the deepest part of you. The part that remembers why you came. Here, the part that is still connected to the source. But most people do not listen. They hear it and ignore it. They feel the pull and resist it. They sense the truth and talk themselves out of it. Because following that voice requires courage. It requires trust. It requires you to go against what is logical, what is safe, what other people expect. And most people are not willing to do that. They would rather fit in than wake up. They would rather be accepted than be authentic. They would rather follow the crowd than follow the soul. And this is the deepest tragedy of a wasted incarnation. Not that you suffered, not that you struggled, but that you had the answers inside you the whole time and you refused to listen. You had the map and you ignored it. You had the compass and you put it away. You had the guidance and you chose fear instead. And so you wandered, you repeated the same mistakes. You stayed stuck in the same loops. You lived a lifetime and learned nothing. Cayce said that the soul is patient, but it is also purposeful. It does not waste time. If you do not learn the lesson in this life, you will learn it in the next. If you do not heal the wound now, you will carry it forward. If you do not awaken here, you will be given another chance. But each time you come back, the lesson gets harder. The circumstances get more intense. Because the soul is not interested in your comfort. It is interested in your evolution. And evolution does not happen by accident. It happens by choice, by awareness, by the willingness to see yourself clearly and do something about it. So if you recognize yourself in these signs, if you feel the sting of truth in these words, do not despair, because awareness is the first step. Awareness is the crack in the shell. Awareness is the moment the soul stops whispering and starts shouting. And if you are hearing this now, it is not too late. It is never too late while you are still breathing, but it is urgent. Because time in a body is not infinite. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to change. The longer you stay asleep, the more you forget why you are here. Cayce said that the purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to be awake. And awakeness is not always comfortable. It is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Because when you wake up, when you finally stop running and start facing yourself, something shifts. The fear loses its power. The distractions lose their pull. The old patterns lose their grip. And you begin to live not from the surface, but from the depths. Not from the ego, but from the soul. Not from fear, but from truth. This is the choice in front of you right now. Not tomorrow, not when things calm down. Not when you feel ready, now. Because the soul does not wait for the perfect moment. The soul creates the moment by your response to it. And this moment, this awareness, this discomfort you may be feeling, is the moment. This is the knock on the door. This is the invitation. This is the last call before you drift back into distraction and convince yourself that everything is fine. But everything is not fine if you are living on autopilot. Everything is not fine if you are filling your life with noise to avoid the truth. Everything is not fine if you are blaming others for the state of your heart. Everything is not fine if you are too afraid to change, too stubborn to listen, too numb to feel. And deep down you know this. You have always known this. You have felt it in the quiet moments. In the middle of the night when you cannot sleep. In the middle of a crowd when you feel completely alone. In the middle of a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. That feeling is not depression. It is not weakness. It is not something wrong with you. It is your soul trying to get your attention. It is your soul reminding you that you are here for more than this, more than scrolling, more than working, more than surviving. You are here to grow, to heal, to awaken, to become the fullest version of yourself. And that does not happen by accident. It happens by intention, by awareness, by the daily choice to stop avoiding and start facing, to stop numbing and start feeling, to stop blaming and start owning, to stop resisting and start trusting. Cayce taught that the body is temporary, but the soul is eternal. And what you do in this body, in this life, matters. Not because you will be punished if you fail, but because you will have to come back and try again. You will have to face the same lessons, the same wounds, the same patterns, and they will be harder next time. More painful, more intense, because the soul does not forget. It carries everything forward. Every unhealed wound, every unlearned lesson, every moment of refusal. And it will keep bringing them back until you finally face them. So why wait? Why waste this life avoiding what you will have to face eventually? Why spend your days running from the very thing that could set you free? Why fill your time with distractions when the answers are already inside you? Why live in fear when you are made of the same energy that created the stars? You are not small. You are not powerless. You are not a victim. You are a soul in a body, and you chose to be here. You chose this life. You chose these challenges. And you chose them because you knew they would make you stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more whole. But that only happens if you use them, if you stop resisting them, if you stop pretending they are not there, if you stop medicating them, avoiding them, or blaming someone else for them. The pain you carry is not your enemy. It is your teacher. The fear you feel is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are on the edge of growth. The discomfort you avoid is not something to run from. It is something to move through. Because on the other side of it is the person you came here to become. Cayce said that growth is not comfortable, but it is purposeful. And when you stop fighting it, when you stop trying to control it, when you finally surrender to the process, something miraculous happens. The struggle eases, the fear softens, the truth becomes clear. And you realize that everything you have been running from was actually guiding you. Every mistake was a lesson. Every loss was a release. Every moment of darkness was preparing you for the light. But you have to choose it. You have to stop waiting for someone to save you. You have to stop waiting for the perfect time. You have to stop waiting for proof that it will work. Because the soul does not offer proof. It offers faith. Faith in yourself. Faith in the process. Faith that if you take this step, the ground will rise to meet you, and it will. Not always in the way you expect, not always in the timing you want, but it will. Because the universe does not abandon those who are brave enough to face themselves. So here is what you do. You start small. You stop filling every moment with noise. You sit in silence for 5 minutes a day and let whatever comes up, come up. You stop blaming others for your pain and ask yourself what you are meant to learn from it. You stop clinging to what no longer serves you and take one step toward the unknown. You stop ignoring your intuition and start trusting it, even when it does not make sense. You stop living for everyone else and start living for the truth inside you. And you do this not because it is easy, not because it feels good, but because it is why you are here. This is the mission. This is the purpose. This is what the soul came to do. And if you waste this life avoiding it, you will leave with regret. You will leave knowing you had the chance and you did not take it. You will leave knowing you heard the call and you turned away. And that is the only real failure. Not suffering, not struggling, but refusing to grow through it. Cayce said that every soul gets as many chances as it needs. But not every chance is in the same body. Not every chance comes with the same support. Not every chance feels as urgent as this one. So if you are hearing this, if you are feeling this, if something in you is waking up right now, do not ignore it. Do not push it away. Do not tell yourself you will deal with it later, because later is not promised. This moment is. This breath is. This choice is. You are not here by accident. You are here because your soul believed you could do this. Believed you could face the fear. Believed you could heal the wounds. Believed you could become more than you were. And it was right. You can, but only if you choose to. Only if you stop wasting your incarnation and start living it. Only if you stop running and start becoming. The time is now. The choice is yours. And here is what happens when you finally make that choice. When you stop resisting and start surrendering. When you stop avoiding and start facing. When you stop numbing and start feeling. Something inside you begins to shift. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is real. You start to notice things you have been missing. You start to feel things you have been avoiding. You start to see patterns you have been repeating for years, maybe even lifetimes. And at first, it is uncomfortable. Because when you stop distracting yourself, when you stop filling every moment with noise, you come face to face with everything you have been running from. The grief, the anger, the shame, the fear, the loneliness, the regret. All of it rises to the surface. And your first instinct is to push it back down, to turn away, to reach for the phone, the food, the work, the anything that will make it stop. But if you can sit with it, if you can breathe through it, if you can let it move through you instead of trying to control it, something changes. The pain does not destroy you. It reveals you. It shows you where you are still holding on, where you are still pretending, where you are still lying to yourself. And that revelation, as painful as it is also the beginning of freedom. Because you cannot heal what you do not acknowledge. You cannot release what you do not face. You cannot grow beyond what you refuse to see. And so the discomfort is not the problem. The discomfort is the path. Cayce taught that the soul grows through experience, but only if you are present for it. Only if you are awake enough to see what is happening and humble enough to learn from it. And most people are not. Most people sleepwalk through their lives. They go through the motions. They do what they are supposed to do. They follow the rules. They meet the expectations. But they are not present. They are not awake. They are not growing. They are just surviving, just repeating, just waiting for something to change without ever changing themselves. And that is the trap. The trap of thinking that growth will happen to you, that awakening will happen to you, that healing will happen to you. It will not. It only happens through you, through your willingness to look, to feel, to question, to change, through your willingness to let go of who you thought you were and discover who you actually are. And that requires courage. more courage, and most people are willing to give. But that is also why most people waste their incarnation. Because they wait for courage to arrive instead of choosing it. But you do not have to be most people. You do not have to follow the crowd. You do not have to live the way you have always lived just because it is familiar. You can choose differently. Right now, in this moment, you can choose to stop running. You can choose to stop pretending. You can choose to stop wasting the time you have been given. And when you do, when you finally make that choice, the soul responds. It begins to guide you more clearly. It begins to open doors you did not even know were there. It begins to bring people, opportunities, and experiences into your life that match the person you are becoming. Not the person you used to be. This is not magic. This is alignment. When you stop living from fear and start living from truth, you align with the deeper current of your life. The current that has always been there, guiding you, supporting you, waiting for you to stop fighting it and start flowing with it. And when you do, life does not necessarily get easier, but it gets clearer. You stop questioning every decision. You stop doubting yourself. You stop looking outside for answers that only exist inside. You begin to trust yourself. And that trust changes everything. Cayce said that the greatest power you have is not over others. It is over yourself. The power to choose your thoughts, to choose your responses, to choose your focus, to choose what you give your energy to. And when you reclaim that power, when you stop giving it away to distractions, to other people, to old stories, you become unstoppable. Not in a loud, forceful way, but in a quiet, steady, unshakable way. Because you are no longer living from the surface. You are living from the depths, from the soul, from the truth. And that is what this life is for. Not to be perfect, not to have all the answers, not to avoid pain or struggle or difficulty, but to be real, to be present, to be awake, to be willing to look at yourself honestly and do the work that needs to be done, to stop blaming, to stop avoiding, to stop pretending, and to start living from the deepest, truest part of yourself. The part that knows why you are here, the part that remembers, the part that is still connected to the infinite. This is your final warning, not from me, not from Cayce, but from your own soul. The soul that has been whispering to you your entire life. The soul that has been sending you signs, lessons, and opportunities to wake up. The soul that is using these very words right now to reach you, to shake you, to remind you that time is running out, not in a fearful way, but in a truthful way, because this body will not last forever. This life will not last forever. And if you waste it, if you spend it asleep, distracted, avoiding, blaming, resisting, you will leave with nothing. No growth. No healing, no awakening. Just the same patterns you came in with. And you will have to do it all over again. But if you choose now, if you wake up now, if you stop running and start facing, if you stop numbing and start feeling, if you stop blaming and start owning, if you stop resisting and start trusting, then everything changes, not overnight, but gradually, steadily, deeply. And by the time you reach the end of this life, you will not leave with regret. You will leave with peace, with knowing, with the quiet confidence that you did what you came here to do, that you became who you came here to be, that you did not waste your incarnation. You lived it.